Hey everybody, and welcome back to the board meeting. We are continuing to move down my top 100 games of all time list, and this is one of the last videos that I'll be able to shoot for this. We are on the penultimate list. We are on numbers 20 through 11, so we're almost on the top 10. And I almost feel bad that these games didn't make my top 10 list because they're worthy of being in my top 10 games of all time. But you can't have every game in your top 10. That's why the top 10 is so exclusive. There are, I think, 3 games on this list that were in my top 10 last year when I made this list that have slid into this 20 through 11 position. That's kind of sad to see, but it's kind of made way for different games that have moved up throughout the last year or so. But let us just jump into the 20th game this week. And number 20 is a newer game. It came out 2020, I think 2020. This is Dune Imperium. Dune Imperium is a beautifully combined mechanically game. This is a game that combines several mechanics very beautifully. It's very smooth how they did this, and they combine. There's deck building, there is worker placement, there is hand management, there is area control. There's a lot of things going on in this game, but it's not that difficult to teach this game. It's not like a super complex game, but there's a lot of decisions to make. There's a lot of things that you have to pay attention to. There's an area control area where you're going to be throwing troops and you're trying to win battles to get bonus points at the end of the round. There is the worker placement, which is going to go hand in hand with your hand management, because you can only place workers if you use a card that's got that spot symbol. So you're going to waste that card to send a worker to that spot. Then at the end of the round, the leftover cards will do a different thing. So it depends on how you want to look at this. There's also deck building. So you're going to be building up your deck. I wouldn't say there's not a ton of deck building in this game. Your deck's not going to be like super, super different at the end of the game. But there is some deck building. And there is, because there's only, I think, 10 rounds at most in this game. So you might add 10, 15 cards possibly to your hand of cards. And it's the first person to reach 10 points. It's this race game. You're trying to race for points. And I just like how all these mechanics blend well together. It makes for a fun, intense sort of game. It's very gripping because you're always worried what other people are going to do. You don't want them to take your spot that you need to go to. You also don't want them to add any more troops to that spot because you aren't able to add any more people to the spots this round. So there's a lot of, you're paying attention to other people a lot in this game. So number 20, Dune Imperium. Let's go to number 19. Number 19 is an older game. This is The Voyages of Marco Polo. This is a dice worker placement game, and I absolutely adore dice worker placement games. And why I like dice worker placement games so much is because it makes you change your strategy on the go depending on what your role is. You roll those dice and it might change exactly what you want to do or what you can do. So you're going to have to change your strategy. You're going to have to be very flexible with what you can do. And this game, you're going to be, collecting your resources. You're going to be moving around this board, traversing this board, doing different things. But that's not why this is in my top 20. Why this game is in my top 20 is actually the variable player powers that you get to play as for this game, because each of them are super powerful. Each of them breaks the game, basically. There's a person that you can play as that doesn't even have to roll dice. They can just change their dice to whatever they want. There is a person that gets you an extra dice every round. There is a person that gets 2 people that gets to move around the board. There's a person that every time someone else gets a resource, you get up one of that resource as well. So every single player power in this game feels very powerful. And it's one of those games where someone else does their special ability and you're like, that's too powerful. But then when it's your turn, everybody is saying that about yours. So I think they did a good job of making sure none of them are more powerful than the others. I think maybe the one where you don't have to roll dice and you can just choose which dice it's probably the best one, but it's arguable. So it's debatable. So either way, this is number 19, The Voyages of Marco Polo. Going to number 18, and number 18 is a small card game. This is a small filler card game. This is Hanamakoji. This is an older game, which I mean, I think it came out something like 2013, possibly. So, I mean, it's 9 years old, and it's still in my top 20, which, being 9 years old doesn't exclude you from being in the top 20, but it's hard for a filler card game to stick around that long. Card games usually kind of, have this big entrance and then they fizz out pretty fast within a couple of years. This one, I would say, is a classic now. This is one that I still love to pull out. And this is, like I said, a small card game. This is a hand management, I cut, you choose sort of game. It's a two-player only game where you are trying to get the most power on your side of the geishas. There's a line of geishas that are numbered 1 through like 6 or something like that. And you are trying to get the most items on your side of the board. And there's only 4 different actions you can take each round, and you have to do all of those actions once. And there's different actions. The actions are you can throw away one card, you can keep one card to, as your secret card that you reveal at the end, and the other 2 are sort of this I cut, you choose, where you're going to split some cards and you're going to give them to the other player, and they're going to choose which pile of cards they're going to take and put in front of their geishas. And you're trying to have the most power on your side of the geishas to win their influence, to win the game if you have won so much of the geisha powers. So number 18, Hanamakoji. Going to number 17. Number 17, I am just putting as a series of games. This is the Pandemic series of games. Pandemic is the most influential cooperative game of all time, I believe. And there's been tons and tons of Pandemic games released. There's like one every year, basically. And I did make a video a few months back where I rated every single one of the Pandemic games, or I rank them from my least favorite to my highest, not including the Legacy games, because there's 3 Legacy games. Legacy games are different than regular games. But there is a ton of different of these games. There's different themes. There's your regular one where it's the pandemic, where there's a virus spreading. You're trying to stop that. There is one where it's flooding around this certain region that you need to dike off everything and make sure things aren't flooding. There is a fantasy theme one that's a World of Warcraft theme. I think it's a World of Warcraft that just recently came out that's really good. There's an Iberia one that kind of brings it back old-fashioned style. There is a real-time one even that I'm not a huge fan of, but it's still decent. There's just a ton of different ones. It's like a pick-your-flavor sort of one. There is a Cthulhu one that I really like. And if you want to see me talk about more about them, just check out that video ranking all the Pandemic games. But I love the series, what they've done. They've diversified this game so much, and all of the games they're all really well done in my opinion. But yeah, it's the grandfather of cooperative games. This is what has influenced a ton of cooperative games. It's kind of molded how people make cooperative games now. So number 17 is just the entire Pandemic series. So pick your flavor for that one. Going to number 16. Number 16 is a newer game. 2020, I believe this was. And this is Nidavellir. This is this bidding set collection sort of game where you're trying to collect certain dwarves, and the dwarves of different colors will score you different points in different ways. Like the purple and green ones will score you points depending on how many of them you have. The orange ones will score you points depending on how many of the banners you have, times however much the banner is worth, their banner points. The red ones score on your banner points, plus you'll get to score a coin if you've got the most red ones, and the blue ones are just worth whatever the points on their banner are. But how you get to decide who gets to draft what dwarves first is this bidding mechanism. You're going to get 5 coins, and there's 3 rounds per 3 phases per round, and you're going to put these coins. You're going to get 5 coins. You're going to put the coins face down on this little thingamajigger, and each phase you're going to reveal 1 coin, and whoever's got the highest coin then gets to pick one of the dwarves. What I like about this is you're always going to get a dwarf no matter what. If you put the lowest bid on there, you're still going to get a dwarf. So it's not the worst thing to go last. And there is an expansion called Thingavellir. Maybe it's pronounced a different way, but we always call it Thingavellir because it's Nidavellir. But that also, I enjoy that expansion. Some of my group doesn't like it, so you can take it or leave it. I enjoy it. Maybe some people won't though. So number 16, Nidavellir. Going to number 15. Number 15 is a popular game. This is Viticulture Essential Edition. It's better than the regular. But Viticulture is one of the most elegant games I've ever played. It feels elegant when you're playing it, and the whole game makes sense. You are in control of this vineyard, and you're going to have to do things in a succession of the correct order. You're going to have to plant some vine. You're going to have to take the grapes off those and put them into the crush pad. Then you're going to have to bottle them. Then you can age them. Then you're going to have to find a seller to buy those particular aged wines in like red, white, or a mixture of them. So I like that part. It's a very easy game to teach because it all just makes sense. What I really like about this game is the turn order deal in this. And, there's a first player, but that doesn't mean you're going to be going first for that round. That means you get to choose your position first. And you're going to take your little, I think it's a chicken that notes this. You're going to take a spot on the left side, and it's going to be like numbered 1 through 7. If you take that first spot, you're not going to get anything, but you are for sure going to go first in that round. But you could take second, third, or fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and you'll get a reward for putting your person there. And the farther down you go, the better reward you'll get. But if you want to go before other people, you want to go higher on that list, that track. So I really like that. I think that's intriguing. It's a very compelling game to me. So number 15, Viticulture. Going to number 14. Number 14 is another worker placement game. This is Lockup. This is a game that has skyrocketed up on my list. I like this more and more each time I play it. It's part of the role player series of games, and it's probably the least known out of all of the games. But this is a worker placement game, but it's got some deduction in it, and you're going to be collecting resources like your normal resource management worker placement game. But this one, you are going to have like 6 or 7 workers. And they're all going to be numbered, like 1 through 5. Then there's going to be an I token one, and there's going to be a power symbol one. But you are going to place these workers of yours in different spots, and you can place them face up, or you can place 2 of them face down, so nobody knows what power is there. And at the end of the round, after everybody's gone and used up all of their tokens, then you'll flip over all of them and see who's got the most power in what region, and you'll get rewards based on your position. If you're first, you'll get the best reward. If you're last, you'll get sent to this other place. We'll get you like kind of a compensation. But I really like that because you're trying to work out what other people are doing. This game has gone up. I think I don't even know if this was in my top 50 last year when I made that. So it has definitely risen quite a bit. So number 14, Lockup. Going to number 13. Number 13 was in my top 10 last year, and it was a pretty new game last year when it made my top 10, so it made a big splash right away. This is Viscounts of the West Kingdom. It's part of the West Kingdom trilogy of games that I really like a lot. And all of those West Kingdom games feel very different to me. Shem Phillips does an amazing job of taking a mechanic and then sort of twisting it in his own unique way. This one is a deck builder of sorts, but you're also going to be moving around this circular board, doing different things, building buildings, collecting books that are worth points, sending out people into this castle. But there's this deck building aspect that only 3 cards at a time are going to be revealed. It's like this slow motion deck builder where you're going to have three cards on this board, and each round 1 card slides off, and it might give you an ability for sliding off even, and you're going to pick 1 card from your hand to put on the left, so they all slide over. So they're slowly sliding everything, and you're slowly adding cards to your hand. So it's like I said, a slow motion deck builder. I think it's really interesting. And depending on which characters that you have in your hand right then, they're going to give you special abilities and the power of doing different things, like you're building buildings and things like that. I really like it. This is my favorite game of the series to solo, by far. I actually enjoy this game more as a solo game than a multiplayer game. I think they've done an excellent job of doing that. And I just backed the 2 expansions on Kickstarter a few months back, so I'm really looking forward to that. So number 13, Viscounts of the West Kingdom. Let's go to number 12. Number 12 took a drop this year. This was also in my top 10 last year. This is Marvel Champions, the card game. This is the living card game from Fantasy Flight. In this game, you are playing as a hero or two, whatever you want to do. I like to solo this game. I like this game way more solo than multiplayer. So I either play it solo with one hero, or I play it solo where I two-hand it and I take two heroes. And you're going to pick a villain to fight against. And they've done campaigns now. I think there's 3 big box campaigns now. I have them all. I have everything for this game. And you're going to be just fighting the villain. You're going to attack them. They're going to attack you. You're just trying to survive until you can take care of them and beat them. This has gone down. I think this was pretty high on my list last year, and it's gone down. It's one that I've slowed down on substantially, and I could see it continue to drop like this. It's one I like still. It's really good, but there's almost too much content for it now. And I didn't know if I would ever make that, reach that point. It's to the point now where I'm not sure I will buy everything automatically for this game anymore, because I have so much for it. I've got 2 huge boxes full of cards for this game. And I think I'll just pick and choose from now on which heroes I want to buy, which campaigns I'm going to get. But it's still a really good game. It's more of a mechanic game than story-based game. I almost wish there was a little bit more story for this game. But it's really good either way. Number 12, Marvel Champions, the card game. Number 11 has risen substantially this year, and that's because my group plays it non-stop. It's a Wonderful World. And I don't know where this was last year. I know it wasn't anywhere close to this number, being number 11, almost in my top 10. This is my go-to group's game. Everybody in my game group loves this game, and this is just this drafting game where you have to math out these cards that you're going to have to buy, and when you buy them, they'll go over to the section and it will add to the different cubes that you're going to receive. So this is big engine building. You're going to start out, you're not going to be able to build many cards. By the 4th and final round, you get tons and tons of cubes to help you build these cards. And it just seems like it ramps up really fast. It goes from, man, I'm not going to be able to do much, to I can get whatever card I want because I'm making 20 of this cube. I'm making 8 of this cube. It ramps up really nicely, and it's a game that I like. And one thing, why it gets played so much is because a lot of times my game group has around 7 players, and this plays up to 7, and it doesn't add any more time, usually, if you have more players, because you're going to be drafting simultaneously. So it's kind of got that 7 Wonders feel to it, where if we have a large player count, we are most likely going to break this one out. So number 11, It's a Wonderful World. Well, hey there, puppy. So that will conclude this section of the list. Make sure to comment below what you think of some of these games, what games are in this section for you if you've made a top 100 list. Either way, if you did like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to see more weekly content from me, Shane, at the board meeting in the future. I hope you all have an amazing day. Take care, everyone.